This is going to be a Cape McLaren. I've got a down-eyed wet fly hook and a vice, black thread. I'm starting well back from the eye, where I'm going to have the brown hackle at the head, and that clear portion is a reminder that I'm going to be that I need that much room. Oval tinsel, I'm tying in underneath the hook shank. I use silver oval, it's more visible. You could use wire, there's no reason why not. Wire tends to bite in a wee bit more, it's stronger I think. I just use oval. This is a golden pheasant crest. It's just been pulled off the head, it's not particularly, I'm not fussing about it being too straight or anything. Clearing off the material, the short fibres at the base of the feather. You can see the sort of length I'm using. I'm not using a tiny little feather, it's a medium-sized feather. I'm wetting it, a bit of spit, which gives me a single streak, and tying it in. I think the length of the tail is about the length of the shank. You need to experiment with that, see what satisfies you. I wouldn't go too long. And I tie it down the length of what will be the black body of the fly, the dubbed portion of the fly. I could cut it shorter, the body is going to be dubbed, but it's the way I tie it. And then back to the bend of the hook, or back of the fly really. I'm not being particularly fussy about the underbody. I keep it smooth, but I'm not touching turns because the black dubbing is going to cover it all. This is a seal's fur sub that I'm using. It's probably mohair or something like that. It's quite slippery, quite springy. It's not a particularly good sub, but it does this job pretty well. So I just twist onto the thread, quite a slim rope of dubbing. Always twisting the same way. My thread, by the way, is it's the equivalent to an 8/0. It's 6/0 Danville's. It's a 70 denier thread, a fairly thin thread. And then wind forward, creating a fairly level body. I'm not trying to. You can go for a taper on this, so it'll be thinner at the back and thicker at the front. But a level body's fine. The hackle is going to be the tapering part of the dressing. I want that shaggy, scraggy thing, but there are a few too many fibres, so I'm just giving it a wee bit of a haircut. And then I'm sorting out a hackle. I'm choosing one for length so that the fibres are a wee bit longer than the gape once they're wrapped around that fattened body. This is off it's a dyed black Chinese cock cape, so it's a fairly soft, for a cock cape it's a fairly soft feather, but it's sharper than hen, and it gives me the length that I need to palmer with. Stripped off the base material, and I'm tying it in with the stem just under the shank. The good side, the shiny side, is towards me. And test it before you cut away the stem. Make sure that it's well tied in. And clear that front area. Now, putting on a pair of hackle pliers, you get more length out of a feather when you use hackle pliers, I find. And I take a turn, sometimes two at the front, and then space the turns going back. And you should be able to see there's a bit of taper there. This is not a particularly good cape, but it's the feathers are not as tapered as I'd like, but you can get a bit of tapering going on with the body hackle. Sort out the rib, and the rib comes over in the opposite spiral through the fibres and traps the stem. And each time I make a turn of the oval or the rib, it traps that stem again. And I'm trying for regular ribs, and 4 turns, 5 turns is fine. hold it in place, trap it with the thread, and wiping everything back with my fingers. It's a skill you need to learn so that you don't hook your fingers on that exposed point. Be able to draw everything back so you can tie down. Clear away the rib, clear away the tip of the feather. Next job is to choose a hackle for the head. Now, I want a different size for this. I want a longer fibre. This is an old low-grade genetic cock cape that I'm using. I could use hen, I could use another non-genetic cape. This is fine, it's soft enough, and you can see the area at the middle of the feather, the stem of the feather, where it's webby. And I'm choosing an area in that hackle where the fibres are a bit longer than the hackles of the black hackle, so that this is going to be distinctly longer. Now that's a tapering feather because it's from the back of the cape. I'm well away from the point of the feather, but I'm tying it in, technically I'm tying it in by the tip. So I've got the base of the feather in my hand and the tip of the feather is out over the eye of the hook. Well tied in, checked for security, and then I'm trimming away the tip of the feather, or it will be. Draw everything up and trim it close. Now you'll see that I'm going to fold this, but I'm going to wax the thread first. The reason I wax the thread is the next job the thread's going to do is tying off the hackle. And if you tie it off with wax thread, it's tackier, it takes fewer turns to secure the hackle. So I've wet my fingers, I'm wiping the hackle barbs back so that it folds the hackle. And then touching turns, each time wiping the fibres back. And really I'm really filling that area. I'm putting in as many turns as I can. You can deliberately decide that how many turns of hackle you want, so you can have one with just a few, or you can have one with quite a dense brown hackle at the head of the fly. And I'm working my way towards the thread, and then I think one more turn, push the thread towards the eye of the hook. And catch the thread over. And it's waxed, so a few turns, 2 or 3 turns, will hold everything pretty securely. Now, for extra security, I'm going to fold everything back. That includes the stem, and I'm going over the base of I'm going over the stem of the folded back stem. So that's a well secured head. Trim the stem away, and there's the fly begin to emerge. At this point I'm going to whip finish. I'm making a small head, deliberately making a small head on this. Half a dozen turns there, and then I'll do a second whip finish. Just 3 turns. I'm still on the extra waxed thread, the portion of the thread, and then carefully cut away the thread, just chop the thread. You can see that the red hackle, the brown hackle, is distinctly longer than the black hackle, and it's folded back where the black hackle sticks out. And the black hackle gives this spring, the head hackle is there for contrast. Just a few drops of varnish at on the threads, finish it off. I'm using a thinned, very thin Celaya-like varnish, head cement, and that sinks it right into the thread, and then I'll give it a couple more coats to build up a finished glossy head. Simple fly, I'm looking for proportion, I'm looking for a nice regular rib.